The year is 1986. The place? Perth, in Western Australia, where the sun beat down on quiet suburban streets. It was the kind of place where kids rode bikes until dark and families gathered for barbecues. It was a city that felt safe, far from the horrors of the world splashed across international headlines. But behind the closed doors of an ordinary house on Moorhouse Street, something terrifying was happening. Over the course of just 5 weeks, 4 young women would vanish. Their families would be left begging for answers. Their faces would appear on posters and nightly news reports, and the community would feel a chill it had never known before. The world would later come to know these crimes as the Moorhouse Murders. And at the center of it all was not just one killer, but a pair, David and Catherine Birnie. Welcome to GBRLIFE Transmissions. I'm your host, Caitlin, and you're listening to GBRLIFE of Crimes, where we explore not just what happened in crimes committed by women, but why they happened and the psychology behind them. Today, we're diving into the story of Catherine Birnie, a woman whose life choices and toxic partnership with David Birnie led to one of the most disturbing killing sprees in Australian history. Catherine Harrison was born in 1951 in Perth. From the start, her life was marked by instability. Her mother died when Catherine was just 2 years old, and her father, unable to cope, placed her into the care of relatives. That sense of abandonment stayed with her. In the depths of her inner world, while her outer world began what she felt was a normal life, and she remained that way until Catherine was a teenager when she would meet David Birnie, a boy who seemed confident, rebellious, and dangerous. She was just 14. He was older, manipulative, and already showing troubling behaviors. For Catherine, David wasn't just a boyfriend. He was an escape from loneliness, from feeling unwanted, and having no way to express that. David made Catherine feel seen, and as you might have guessed, that bond, as toxic as it was, would define her life. This was first love territory for Catherine, so David was her world. Wondering if her family liked David, they knew he was not a good influence, so they immediately disapproved. And surprisingly, when Catherine's family disapproved, the couple were indeed separated, which means she did not try to become that rebellious teenager and stay with him anyway. No, she followed the rules. She stayed that way into adulthood, even going on to marry another man, Donald McLaughlin. They went on to have 6 children and live a relatively conventional life, although friends did report that it wasn't as settled as it appeared, with potential abuse going on, but this wasn't confirmed. And Catherine did not get to keep her kids. They went with their father because he had the money, and once she saw the situation, she decided to stop trying, possibly due to her abandonment issues. And during this time, Catherine found herself drawn back to the guy she once knew, David. And she was the one who went looking for him. Luckily for her, when she went looking for David, he was also divorced, and they went full force into a relationship, moving into David's home at 3 Moorhouse Street in Perth almost immediately. And remember, at this point, she was deciding not to fight for her kids, which means her goal in life was only David, and nothing and no one else mattered. And it was at this point that David had told Catherine about his fantasies of SA and harming others. And he told Catherine about them openly, without fear. Instead of running, Catherine agreed to join him. But why? That's the haunting question, because first love or not, this was not a small quirk. It was a clear admission to psychological disturbance, which is why we have to ask again, why? Was it fear of losing him? Was it codependence? Or was it something darker inside Catherine herself that was unlocked by his influence? Together they made a pact. Catherine reportedly told David, "I'll do anything for you, anything." And she proved it. In October of 1986, the couple lured their first victim, 22-year-old Mary Nielsen, to their home under the pretense of selling cheap car tires. Once inside, Mary was overpowered, harmed, and unalive. Over the next month, 3 more women would suffer the same fate. The victims' ages all ranged from 15 to 31. Each was lured into the house, restrained, harmed, and then often strangled or intoxicated, before being placed into shallow graves outside Perth. Catherine's role was chilling. She helped lure the victims. She was the one who opened the door, who made the girls feel safe enough to step inside. In many cases, she tied the ligatures or handed David the tools. She wasn't just a bystander, she was an active participant. And the Birnies might have continued killing, but their final intended victim, 17-year-old Kate, managed to escape. She convinced Catherine to let her call home, and when given a brief chance, she fled the house barefoot, alerting neighbors and then police. Her testimony blew the case open. Police raided the Birnie home, uncovering evidence of the attacks and hearing chilling confessions. Both David and Catherine admitted to their crimes. And this is where we pause and ask, why? One more time. Catherine Birnie is not the stereotype of female killer acting in self-defense or out of desperation. She joined willingly, and psychologists point to her lifelong attachment to David, her need for control through him, and her abandonment trauma. In Catherine's world, pleasing David meant survival, but it also gave her a twisted sense of belonging. And some experts believe she had what's called secondary psychopath, someone who may not have initiated the crimes, but who found identity and purpose in carrying them out alongside her partner. And in interviews, she showed little remorse. David Birnie took his own life in prison in 2005. Catherine remains behind bars to this day, serving a life sentence with no chance of parole. She was one of the very few women in Australia who's been officially designated as never to be released. For the families of the victims, her imprisonment is only a fragment of justice. Their daughters never came home. Their futures were stolen. Their names, forever remembered: Mary Nielsen, Savannah Candy, Nolene Patterson, and Denise Brown, became a grim reminder etched into Perth history. And then there was Kate Moore, the 17-year-old girl who survived. The girl who ran barefoot from the Moorhouse street and exposed the Birnies to the world. Kate later spoke about the trauma of being the one who lived, carrying survivor's guilt for decades. She became an advocate for victims, but the weight of what she endured never left her. And the community of Perth was also forever changed. Before the Moorhouse murders, it was seen as a safe, almost sleepy town, far from the infamous crimes that made headlines elsewhere. But the Birnies shattered that sense of security. Parents stopped letting their daughters do really anything anymore, and the innocence of the suburbs was gone. And Catherine, remember, she had the opportunity to walk away, but she didn't. She chose David. She chose the violence. She even chose his name, becoming Catherine Birnie without ever legally marrying him, a sign of just how fully she surrendered her identity to his. This is the legacy of Catherine Birnie, not just the horror of crimes, but the reminder that monsters do not always walk alone. Sometimes they walk side by side. This has been GBRLIFE of Crimes, part of GBRLIFE Transmissions, and I'm Caitlin, reminding you that understanding the darkness helps us appreciate the light. Join me next time as we uncover another case that challenges everything we thought we knew about the criminal mind.